thank you everyone for coming. It's just a delight to be here. I am surrounded by some wonderful folks. I will call out the two legislative leaders in just a moment, but there's one person who's here who's come from afar, who I think needs a special call out, and that's former State Senator Harriet Spinell, who's been absolutely committed to this issue all the way along. And Harriet, it's nice to have you back, and I know you're glad you're not here, but we're glad to have you. The bill I'm about to sign has a very simple objective, and that is to protect the pristine waters of the Strait of Juan de Fuca from devastating oil spills, and not just from oil tankers, but from the thousands of other ships that come through the straits. If we need a reminder of just how important it is to protect the waters, we can find it in celebrating the signing of this bill today, which is the 20th anniversary of the largest oil spill in the history of the country, and that's the Exxon Valdez oil spill that happened in Alaska and Prince William Sound. Shortly before that, as a brand spanking new director of ecology, I experienced an oil spill off our coast, the Nestucca oil spill, which then ended up not only causing significant problem to the waters along our coast, but also British Columbia, which caused a rather major international incident. So I am close to this issue, as my friends behind me are, and even closer to home more recently is the new Carissa that ran off ground at Coos Bay some 10 years ago, fouling the Oregon beaches. So this bill is a reminder of what happened on that Exxon Valdez, and it's a reminder of the Nestucca and the new Carissa. As I flew over and participated in the cleanup of the Exxon Valdez, it reminded me of bringing a vessel into the kingdom. And bringing a vessel through the Strait of Juan de Fuca is like bringing a vessel into your own garage, single-car garage. There is much greater need for protection here in Washington State, even than what you might find in Alaska. This bill will require our maritime industry to come together to pay for the full-time presence of a rescue tug at Neah Bay by July 1, 2010. Right now, it's left to the taxpayers of the state of Washington, who have stepped up and responsibly since 1999 spent more than $15 million for this purpose. The rescue tug at Neah Bay is just one of the many tools that have been put in place to prevent oil spills in our waters. This, however, is a vital one. Every year, oil tankers, fuel barges, commercial fish processors, passenger ships make more than 4,500 transits through the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Oil tankers enter the strait on their way to our oil refineries, 5 in number. Fuel barges ply through the strait to carry oil products up and down the west coast. Commercial cargo, fish processing, passenger vessels enter the strait to move our cargo, our food, and our people. The simple law of averages says some of those ships are going to have trouble, and some are going to be disabled, particularly in inclement weather. In fact, since 1999, when the tug was put in place, there have been 42 ships that have either completely disabled or were having trouble. And just 2 weeks ago, a freighter entering the strait lost power and had to be rescued by the tug before it would drift into the rocks. One thing is for sure, distressed ships like this one can't wait 5 hours for a tug to show up from Port Angeles. Every minute is critical in an oil spill, and every minute counts to the pristine Strait of Juan de Fuca and its waters. Our only real protection to help vessels that run into trouble has been by a state-funded emergency rescue tug at Neah Bay. This bill today makes sure that that tug remains in place, paid for by those who run those vessels through, that carry the petroleum products that could devastate our marine environment in the strait. And one thing I think is very important, and David Dix is here on behalf of the Puget Sound Partnership, that permanently stationing a tug at Neah Bay is one of the important goals of our Puget Sound Partnership to protect and restore our precious waters. I want to thank first and foremost the taxpayers of the state of Washington, who have stood up to this challenge and made sure we had the Neah Bay Rescue Tug for the past decade. And I want to thank the maritime industry for working with us to understand the importance of ensuring that this continues to happen and that user pays. I really want to acknowledge two wonderful legislators who've made this day possible. They have worked tirelessly. They have worked with U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell, who's been very important to our efforts here. And of course, I'm talking about Senator Kevin Ranker and State Representative Kevin Vandeweghe. They will ensure by this bill, and their colleagues who stand with them to make this happen, and our friends who are here with us, to include representatives from the Makah tribe, that we will ensure a permanent year-round funding to keep an emergency response tug at Neah Bay. And with that, I'd like to introduce to you Senator Kevin Ranker.
Thank you, Governor. This morning, I heard an interview on the radio with a gentleman by the name of, let me get this straight, Craig Matkin. He's a marine biologist up in Alaska, and he's been studying a pod of orca whales up there for about 30 years now. This pod of orca whales lost a third of its population when the Exxon Valdez went up on the Bligh Reef. A third of the whales died in direct response to that. Since that point in time, the population has continued to decline. To today, there are only 7 whales left in this population, and all of the researchers studying these whales have said that they will be extinct. There are not enough whales in that single family for them to survive. When the Exxon Valdez ran aground on Bligh Reef, it caused dramatic and incredible environmental impacts. It also caused dramatic and incredible economic impacts. Our local orca whale population here in the Puget Sound, as many of you know, is also very, very threatened. We cannot afford to lose them, and they are a key indicator of overall Puget Sound health and marine health for Washington's waters. One large oil spill in the Puget Sound or in the Straits of Juan de Fuca or out on the open ocean coast could wipe out our local orca whale population. One large oil spill in our waters could severely impact all of our natural resources and our economic drivers so critical to all of our communities here in Washington State. For over 10 years, at the federal level and here at the state level, we've been trying to figure out a way to sustainably fund the Neah Bay Rescue Tug, recognizing that this tug is the first best line of defense toward having that sort of devastating situation happen. We are here today because of many, many people who have worked for a long time on this. And we are positioned today to have the governor sign this bill because of a few specific people that I really want to mention. One of them was already mentioned, which is Senator Harriet Spinell. Thank you so much for being here. Another one is past county commissioner from San Juan County, Rhea Miller, who has been working on this issue for a long, long time. The governor also mentioned federal Senator Maria Cantwell. She also has been steadfast and true on her efforts. But first and foremost, I want to acknowledge the leadership of Governor Gregoire on being an absolute champion with regard to defending our coasts, defending our natural resources, and defending the communities that depend upon those resources. I want to read a quote that this biologist said on this interview after studying these whales for 30 years. He said, "I never thought I would end up watching the extinction of a population personally. This bill today sets up a defense so that we won't have to watch the extinction of a population here in our waters. This bill today sets us up to implement and move forward with the Puget Sound Partnership Action Agenda and truly restore our Puget Sound and our environmental health and our economic resources so critically tied to them." Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Governor, again, for all of your help.
Stand in one of them. Which one's the oldest?
Yeah, it is my first bill. First bill ever.
Good one.
Substitute Senate Bill 5344, Emergency Response Towing Vessels. Prime sponsor on the bill is Senator Kevin Ranker, his first bill ever to be signed. And Representative Kevin Vandeweghe. And congratulations to all of you. Thank you for all of your terrific work and our government-to-government relationship. Thanks to all of our legislators who are here and all of you who have worked so hard over so many years to make this possible. What we don't see happen, we always take for granted. The day it happens, like in Exxon Valdez, we ask ourselves, why couldn't we? You've made it clear we don't have to ask that question of ourselves. We've done it, and I thank you very much and congratulate all of you.